when John Dee got into the Enochian ritualistic practices, which was pushed forward and utilized by many, many different people, still used today. But the Enochian invocational ritual is written in Enochian because that's what they call it, Enochian. However,
Mhm.
just because it's written in Enochian, you can take that language and put it into Babylonian or, or whatever,
Right.
and it still works. It's not the
Hmm.
language of the phenomena, it is
Hmm.
the purpose of the words of the phenomena. So you can put
Right.
it into different languages and still get a hit. So this is like
Hmm.
people say, well, there's Babylonian and there's Sumerian and there's all sorts of difference, Aleister Crowley's methods and Jack Parsons' methods and all these different methods. But it's the same process, but in a different language because it's
Hmm.
not the language. Because we'd see differentials between some societies which are using this language and some societies that are using that language, but they're not. They're getting the same results. So this is why we have a phenomena that can understand every physical language on the planet. It has no
Hmm.
problems understanding anything it's been asked of it
Right.
instantly. Doesn't matter if we don't have, we have language barriers, humans do, but no, it's beyond. It's because it's the consciousness behind the words. It's what those words and what you think means, because this is how they understand it. Now, one of the biggest problems is they really do struggle with comprehension. They really do struggle with writing details out.
Hmm.
They are okay sort of trying to mock things and mimic things because phenomena like poltergeist will mimic stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but it has to have a method of learning the old ABCs, or let me copy out. You've wrote something, let me see if I can reply, utilizing what
Right.
you put in. You can't sit them there. A child sat at a table is consciously more advanced in writing than the phenomena
Hmm.
is, because the phenomena is pretty shitty at it. And if you look at it, it's like it is pretty crap. I mean, you think,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? It looks like a 7-year-old's replied to this.
No, I know where. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like on the walls and stuff, you see them right,
Yeah,
and it's like, is this Helen
yeah,
Keller stuff? What's going
yeah.
on here?
So what it requires is it needs us and our logic to do that. So this is why you get automatic writers. It's using us and what we can do to put out the words.
Oh my
With a
God.
mechanism for it.
So now I'm thinking of Muhammad, right? Where well, no pun intended, but he was told by an angel to recite. And then when he recited, a scribe had to come and write it.
Yeah. Well, why didn't the phenomena
Oh,
write it?
he couldn't.
It could have done it itself. Apparently, allegedly, which is an absolute load, is that well, yes,
Yep.
well, it wrote out on all the stone tablets for Moses. No, it didn't. It
Mm.
was processed through
Went
them.
through.
Exactly. Through them. You remove us, you remove their way of getting to us, in a sense. You know, we're part of
Yeah.
they need
Wow.
us to do that, for relay the information they can, because they can't do it in the same process. Do they hear us? Well, they hear us more so in our minds than they do through harmonics. So when I'm talking, it's because it's being processed. Those words have been processed in my mind. And this is how
Mhm.
they know what I'm saying, because it's processed here and not from here. And we know that because we know that when they try to communicate with us in a verbal, harmonic manner, it turns out electronic. It's like, well, it's not male, it's not female, it's not, the frequencies of it don't match how human vocals because they've not got human vocals. It has to
Mhm.
mimic. And some people, and they can mimic it so well that you think, blimey, I've just heard my mother call my name. But if it's been recorded and you play it back, you think, well, hang on a second, it's not even a human vocal.
So to speak.
My ears are ringing.
And that's
Yeah.
transplacement phenomena, because they transplace it directly to us. And this is how we have communications, through the process of the inner ear, because this is how the human brain works. It's the same not just for our eyesight, but also for our hearing. If you're hearing me, it's because the harmonics out of my voice are generating frequencies, which is passing out of your speakers or into your earphones, and your brain is hearing that and constructing what I'm saying. But the
Mhm.
problem is, it's a construct again, which means they can come straight in and go, I can speak to you telepathically. Can you
Right.
hear me? Now that is the same as transplacement. Transplacement in parapsychological circles is telepathy in other circles. It's the same thing.
Right.
But now we know how the mechanism works. And this is how we can have communications from phenomena in our own minds, in our own heads. Literally, we hear it. And sometimes we can't discern what is a harmonic sound being
Mhm.
generated or in your head because you can't tell the difference. Now, those processes was carried out by human electronics by a guy called Kit Green in 1969, and it was utilized in regarding the Havana syndrome cases of introducing sound waves in your head. And it's been very good. Certainly works great for crowd control, and they've been at it for a long time. But the idea of doing this came from the phenomena, because the phenomena could do it, and he wanted to know, well, how does it do it? And now they
Right.
can do it. Now they can do it from helicopters and put it straight into your head, and they've got the equipment to do that. It's very, very worrying, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
the process of it came from reported phenomena, people hearing the voices in their heads. And they're thinking, well, are you hearing it harmonic? Well, the only way to find out that was recording devices. So they did experiments. Recording devices didn't pick it up, but people were hearing it. And they're thinking, well, they thought it was harmonic. No, it isn't. Well, I heard it, and he heard it. He heard the same thing. So it's got to be harmonic. Well, no, because it transplaced it to me and him at the same time.
Right.
So we're thinking it's all trickery. It's all deception. So they're masterful at what all forms of our perception, our taste, our sight, our hearing, everything is. We've got the receivers, all this, that are receivers, but they can get to the brain half before it gets to the brain. They can go in there and go, oh, I'm going to make it into this. And then your brain's going to come up with this. So what they're doing is they're interfering. And this is where we have paralysis, because the paralysis process is happens every night during REM process when we sleep. Now
Right.
we spend all night tossing and turning to just get 20 minutes. That's all the body needs is 20 minutes of rest, a proper dream process. That's only needs 20 minutes. The problem is we spend most of our night going in and out of sleep, hypnagogic and hypnopompic, backwards and forwards, back and just grabbing a minute here, a minute there, just to try and get. Sometimes people don't get it at all. They've slept all night and they think they can't understand why they're still tired in the morning. Some people can sleep an hour and get up and think, I've just had a power nap. I went in straight into sleep mode and I've trained myself not to be tired. Scientists have done that. The process is, though, is that when you are under in that REM, two things take place: output blockade and input blockade. Output blockade means that you can't move, you're paralyzed. Input
Mhm.
blockade means you can't hear anything. You completely don't matter. The brass band walks past. The only time you're going to hear that is if you're coming out to sleep or going into sleep, but not in REM. You can't hear anything, you can't move. That is the process in our brain's mechanism, the construct. So they come in,
Mhm.
the phenomenon goes, oh, do you know what? I don't need to create this phenomena of paralysis. I'm just going to go straight into your brain and go do 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 because it's already there. The buttons are already there every night, and it's just going to go do do. Now I've got you. And that's the biggest problem. And now with discernment, the loss of discernment is registered now for up to 20 seconds if you
Right.
want to, if you can consciously connect with any form of the phenomena, be it paranormal, demological, supernatural, ufological, the discernment level is all about the same. And it means that the phenomena can grab you after 20
Mm.
seconds. And your brain will shift into a different, maybe into theta, which is a manipulative state. It's doing it on purpose because it makes you pliable straight away to I can do what I want with you. You're pliable now.
Yeah, it's the same mechanism, right? I mean, even the
Same mechanism.
CE5 movement, when I've been doing lectures here lately, I've been talking about how where the phenomenon will bait your gaze and look over here. And then that, right? And then it feeds off that. It's
Oh
the same
God,
mechanism with poltergeist, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm going to make sure you see this. I want you, like, even in your research, right? Where I think it was in one lecture, one case study, might have been Keith Linder's house, where something fell off the wall or something and it was magnified.
Oh, it was.
Like the phenomenon wanted you to hear it. It
Yeah.
wasn't as loud, right?
No,
But it
it can't
wanted
be
you to
because
hear it.
yeah, because we ran the tests. We replicate it with exactly the same
Right.
instruments, exactly the same item under normal circumstances of free fall to the ground. Yeah, the
Yeah.
difference was one's 32 decibels, one's like 68 decibels. In other words, it didn't throw it to the ground because it was only made of plastic, so it would have broken. No, it grabbed the sound of the incident and amplified it so as to
There we
hear it
go.
downstairs to
Right.
react to the phenomena. Reacting to the phenomena is what it wants. That's the
That's
resource,
huge.
you
Debate
know?
the gaze. It's like CE5, right? I
Yeah,
it's not self-initiated contact. It's not. It's look over here, and when
yeah.
you look over there, the conscious connection is created, and now it's you're right. You got
Well, it
20
can
seconds
grab
or
your
less.
gaze. Yeah, it can grab your gaze. We call it sometimes glamouring sometimes by the phenomena because it'll put on a wonderful display and you are locked on. You
Mhm.
can't take your eyes off it. You're in awe of it. And that's exactly the problem because we're looking in this direction and not looking at that direction or this direction. That's the
Yeah.
big problem. So it is the puppet on the hand sometimes. It's a magician's glove going, oh, look at this, but don't look at this. You know what I mean? We found
Mhm.
this in the school incident in Ariel, in
Yeah.
Zimbabwe. UFOs come down, landed. Now, all the kids in the playground ran away except for five. Why do five why are five selected out and don't run and panic? Why do they feel differently? Because
Mhm.
they were grabbed. The discernment was gotcha, 20 seconds or even less, maybe. I don't know. We've got it down to 20 seconds. It grabbed them.
Mhm.
It let the others go. I'm going to keep you five locked here. And then what it did, just over onto the other side, it generated an image of another creature, another being, an alien
Yep.
grey with long black hair, and it skipped along and jumped happily, skipped along. And the kids were like watching this, completely locked on. And then when it got to the end, it disappeared and then reappeared and did it again. It was like a recording,
Yeah. Loop.
and they were locked on. But while they were all looking at this, the real one approached only from three up to 3 yards away. By the time the kids realized it was only 3 yards away, they looked at it and it said, I want you to come with us, to all five. That is when they lost control. That is when they panicked. But it was the deception of it. It's intriguing, the deception behind these things. Look, when you come down at schools and say, oh, well, kids, it's ecology, we're worried about this. It's just it's like a rule book. What do you say to humans? These are the words. Oh, we're worried about the ecology of the planet Earth. We're worried
Right.
about,
Right.
it's like a one-liners that they've got to give. You know, none of it's true. It's all deceptive, of course. You know, and that's the biggest problem. But the thing is now that the evidence points to consciousness. Everything we perceive is created through the constructs of our observations, be it through even our hearing. Everything is construct has to be created in some way for us to understand it. And it's you just saw stories years ago that according to the human eye, we should see everything upside down according to because it's got this double lens effect. So, like the iris of a camera, you would see it the other way around. However, what they realize is what our brain's doing, it's going like that. It's changing the construct by 180 degrees because the eye should see everything upside down than what we visually see in the world. But it's the brain that's turning it 180 degrees for our understandings. We don't see color. The color it doesn't exist. Color is
Mhm.
is constructed by the brain, and we
So
can do
this
things in
is
reality to change the colors.
yeah, it's just I'm telling you, it's a lot of this has notes of the Matrix and Dark City in it. Like when you were talking about the ability to create, manipulate reality, you have to believe it. You have to focus. That's Dark City. But the Matrix, and I hate to simplify it, and I'm not simplifying. I'm just saying that, yeah, like in the Matrix, they stuck it in the back of the head, and that was everything else was a projection. I don't. It's just amazing. Your work is so incredible, and I'm so fascinated by the again, just specifically the idea that they will let you break,
Yeah,
something and then replace it. Like, that's weird, right? Like, well, they're gonna see it because they just broke it.
that's right. But they think it's been repaired by the phenomena,
Yeah,
not thinking it's
yeah.
an airport. It's not even the same item.
That's pretty scary
It
stuff.
really
Like
is.
when
And the
you
fact
look
is
at
that
it.
I'm sure they are plentiful, that these things are around, delivering phenomena, the source of the phenomena to the location using these quantum anchors, because we only know that they exist now because through the removal of them causes the system to temporarily break down. It's like they don't know what to do, you know. We're playing at their own
Yeah.
game, really. So when I said to you last week, there is advanced technologies, but not human thinking, not the learning
Yeah.
process. Like I say, they don't understand reverse psychology. They don't understand that by their actions might lead it to fuel the fire. So therefore, you're going to carry on doing something they don't want you to do because they've just let you know the importance of it by their reaction. Now,
Hmm.
we would understand that. We would say, do you know what? Let's do reverse psychology. Let's not react to it because then they won't realize. But they don't do that. Action, reaction. They don't seem to get that. So
Right.
there is a big difference between human thinking and their understanding of us, in a sense of speaking. They do make mess ups, and it's
Yeah.
so blatantly obvious that they are the cause of their own issue sometimes, especially when they're slapping you on the hand for doing something you don't like. You just think, well, hang on a second. Well, because of your reaction, I know I'm on the right path. Thank you very much. But they don't seem to get that, and that's
That's
kind of weird.
crazy.
But what they've found
Yeah.
now is the part of the brain, the caudate and the putamen, are being badly scarred and affected. And it is that location, the caudate putamen, which is responsible for human constructs of perception.
Mm.
And why is it so damaged after having close communications or encounters with phenomena, not just UAP, but paranormal as well and other things? Why is it being so adversely affected? Is because when you're brought into having a closer experience with various types of phenomena, they are
Mhm.
really forcing perception onto you so much that it's damaging our brains. The area of our brains that it delivers helps with us our understanding of perception is being hammered so much by the phenomena to keep this tight that we don't want you to see what we are or hear what we are. We're going to change your environment. You're going to think you're in a different environment. All these things. Masterful control is so heavy on the putamen and the caudate putamen is that it's damaging it. Now, the problem is, we can go back and say, okay, you experience this, let's do some tests. Yes, your caudate putamen is severely affected. Now, what's
Mhm.
interesting is that what happens with this damaged cord area of the brain, they call it putamen, is that it acts a little bit like a virus. The adverse effects to that part of the brain, and 78% of people that have experiences are gravitate to other people that have an experience, be it their partners, the wives, the girlfriends, whatever. There'll be an experiencer because what happens
Right.
is there's something within us. It's called the UFO gene, but it's not just
Mhm.
UFOs. It's all the thing, but they called it UFO gene. But there's this gene within us that helps us gravitate to people that are also experiences. And they're not through experience. It's because of the father's experience or the mother's experience. It acts like a virus. It's a UFO. It's a gene. It's involved there, which is
But
just like when we talk about this is where it fits the bill. My grandmother was a psychic. My mother was a psychic. Oh, and I was
exactly right.
like, it's the gene passing on.
This is interesting because what would that mean with like generational spirits? Because I've heard that all my life, right? Where it's like, oh, it's an attachment. That's I don't know. I don't know where I lean on that because I know like Barry and I talked about this in England, where it's like, yeah, but somebody has an adopted kid, and that same entity went after them, so that kind of killed that theory, right?
It does
But this
kill
is
the theory of
fascinating
following
stuff.
the gene, but one we do know is that
Mhm.
definitely through the process of genetics, it's being
Yeah,
carried through. Now, if it's being carried through, it's
that's
being carried through like a virus. In other words,
yeah,
you're affected. I'm affected. You're affected because we're experiencers. So if we were to have children, there's a good chance that they may be affected. So what it does is the phenomena keeps it within the family chain. So you
yes,
end up
yes.
you're on a monitored, you're on a family chain, you know, and that's the
And it's
problem.
just some people, right?
It's not all people, it's some people, but
Yeah,
some, you know what, it lends eye to certain people which are more beneficial or advantageous to them, and
that's
it'll do a number on
wild.
them, you know. And that's a big problem because now we know why
Right.
people are saying, well, my grandmother was psychic and it's been passed down to me. You always hear that, but then you don't, nobody actually stops and go, what do you mean passed down to you? So are you
Hmm.
saying that it's in the genes? And they'll probably say yes. Then you're referring to something genetic then. And you say, well,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, there it is.
This is nuts
It's
because
like a
that would
virus.
mean that,
It's a
yeah,
virus in a sense.
pathogenic, where it mutated from actual experience, paranormal experience, to actual epigenetics, where it's now into physically the
Right.
bloodline. Now, that
Well,
transition right there, my friend,
it,
woo,
well,
boy,
do you know what? It goes one step, and I can't go into it too much. But
that's okay.
what I
That's
can say
okay.
is that people think we are so disconnected from the phenomena when in fact we're part and parcel of it. When
Yes.
we have an experience and the deliverance, we've already outreached unknowingly. That's the problem.
Hmm.
We've outreached and shook its. I want to go out and shake your hand. You might not know that, but you're ready to go out there and shake its hand because it knows.
Right.
It just reactivates, and then next minute you're having these experiences, and you're thinking to yourself, "Wow, I've never had this experience before. Why me?"
Hmm.
Because you've been set up for it. Unfortunately, blame your
Yeah.
parents, or
Blame your parents.
grandparents, or whatever. How long that gene goes on for, and this is why you have what is referred to as the special bloods.
Yes, and that's epigenetics, brother,
There you
right?
have it.
Where the phenomenon will allow, and this gets still back to the Matrix, where it's like, okay, yeah, one family will have three or four people die and they won't survive that much. But the phenomenon will literally breed entire
Yep.
bloodlines and keep
Yep.
replicating. But so in my lectures, what I've been trying to articulate is exactly what you're saying, where, and I phrase it a little bit differently, but it's the same aspect of it, where we become co-creators of the experience,
They need us.
right? Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why
they
that's
do.
why we're important. Yeah.
Come look at this. Come look at me. Come look at me. And then when we look at it, right, it helps create this archetype. And in a way, and this is not in its entirety, but some of the phenomenon, right, does need to be observed. It does need to be witnessed. It does need to be heard. And I think, you hit the nail on the head when you're like, okay, yeah, it does amplify the experience because it's wanting to engage.
Yes.
And then when it engages, that's a very dangerous problem,
It really is.
right? Because like you said, you got 20 seconds, and anything
Oh
more
yeah.
than that, it's not just
20.
manifesting to you, it's manifesting through you. And then
Really
you
is.
leave thinking, man, it's the best thing ever. And it's like, no, you got sigils
Yeah.
somewhere.
Well, that's the problem, I mean, that you're giving yourself to them and you're allowing them control. They're already masters of manipulation already, so you don't have to give much to them, and people are going to do that because people are going to be in awe. People are going to
Mhm.
be, oh, I want to know more. I'm fascinated. And that is the mechanism for the drive, which continues these interactions, which can take you down a dark path, should they want to. Absolutely. You're giving yourself over to it.
You got my head spinning again, right? Every time. Because now what I'm looking at is like, okay, first of all, in CE5, the experience, number one, is not self-initiated, in my opinion.
No.
It's not. It's the phenomenon. I'm over here. Okay. And people go out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Following the Pied Piper. But not just that, but they believe that the experience began when the phenomenon manifested. No, the encounter and experience began when
It's
you started
before.
obeying the voice.
It's when you had
Third
that
of all,
thought, I'm going to go to
right.
step five. Thank you very much. There it is.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. And it's again the illusion of control and free will, unfortunately. But the third component to this is that uh, now that we're tracking the beginning of the encounter, we might not even know where the end of the encounter is, because that could have began with the look up, right? You see where I'm
Yeah.
going, brother?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it could end literally a generation later, where, oh, it's
You do
really
not
after the
know. Yeah,
grandchild.
you've just affected yourself, your kids, your grandkids.
Oh, God
They
help
do, they
us.
don't know. This is this total manipulation. They've got so much control over us. We're blindly going in there thinking, oh God, should we dip our finger into it? It's the old red button in the room. Don't press the red button. Whatever you do, don't press it. There's no human that can get past 20 minutes, I'll tell you. Right? They'll sit there staring at that red button, and someone's got to get up and press the damn thing. This is why it states about so strongly in scriptures about not conversing with them. Don't open the door.
Yes,
Test the
don't even look
spirit.
at them. Don't
Don't
even look at
even
them.
look at them. You know, they can have all wonderful faces and all these ancient drawings that they had eagle heads and bull heads and this head. It's because they were trying to tell us they don't have a baseline model. They're going to manipulate anything they can to try and confuse you. And this is what all these old drawings and these things represent. Is that all these strange creatures, different heads, different wings. Some have wings, some don't. It's like, well, do you have an architect? Is that there's just they're all one. There's so many of them, but all governed by the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's a massive problem for us. And the thing is that it's been going on for such a long time. This is not the new generation of contact. This has been going on
Yeah.
for thousands and thousands of years. I was only talking, somebody sent me a message this morning saying, oh, it's Stonehenge and it's coming up to the summer solstice soon. And it's a time for deep thinking and love and light and consciousness. And I'm thinking, do you know what Stonehenge is? Really? Do you know that there's a sacrificial slab there that you would kill people and put this called the bloodstone? Do you know what it was for? They were conducting ritualistic practices at the time of the setting and the rising sun because of the terahertz frequency and the phenomenon's connection to it, that it was a good way to manifest and communicate with, especially if you're going to offer them something up. It is the ancient church of communication, all these locations, because that's what they were utilizing it for. But they
Right.
don't get it. They don't get it. And you think to yourself, well, you still don't get it. And our ancestors knew because about 78% of the whole things were all broken down, buried on purpose, destroyed on purpose because they realized sometimes, uh-oh, this didn't go well. So they started destroying about 78% of these locations themselves. Some of them they even buried. Let's just bury it. Get rid of the damn thing. And of course, this is, oh no, they come along years later, do scans. Oh, look what we found in Turkey. Another ritualistic practice location. Let's dig it up. Let's put it out in the sunlight and tell frequency again. It's just like, and it's so frustrating because you can't express this to people that what will happen is if you're going to catch its gaze, you're going to be like a rabbit in the headlights for the rest of your life, and you won't know it. But they can come knocking at your door like puppets on a
At
string
any time.
anytime, anytime as soon as you engage.
That's terrifying. I mean, and it's so funny you mentioned that because when you're talking about these ancient sites and they realized they couldn't control the room, right? Robin Foy, the room is uncontrolled. We got to bury it. We got to sever the connection. It's like good luck.
Too late.
Yeah,
It was
you're
too late.
blowing my mind because I've got a lot of homework to do too today. So I'm doing a lot of anyways.
We're kind of taught to look to religion to try and
Yeah,
ease us off the wrong path. But the problem is that the religions are contaminated by the phenomena that even the
right.
churches and all these different religions are using these little aspects of them. They've been manipulated themselves because it's only a guy one day. It says, do you know what? Let's write this religion. Oh, hang on a second. Let me whisper. Let me be the influence in your
There we
ear.
go. There we go.
And his old information, his documents and drawings of this, of saintly people, monks, priests who were trying to bring out their own religion. And what they've got drawings of these things, it's like a creature sat next to him, or a devil or a demon, and they're whispering into their ears. And they're writing it down. And you're thinking,
Right. The
this is great stuff.
transcendence. Yeah, the otherness. The Rudolph Otto, and he had a book called The Idea of the Holy, and this is the first, I guess, reference to the alien. It was in Rudolph Otto's book. He didn't call it the alien. He called it Holy Other.
Holy other.
WH. But it was a play on words, the Holy Other.
Yeah.
In other words, we don't know what they are. And then he even called him a something with a capital S, as so it's divine, but with something. And so this is blowing my mind. Every time I just love our sessions. I got to tell you,
This
of
is
course.
forget the source, forget what it looks like, forget what it's saying. Just look at the mechanism, the mechanics. They never change. The mechanics from ancient times right up to modern times, it's worked for them. Well, that's because we've not
Yeah.
advanced much. So, it works for them. It is designed. And when it comes to a point where humans are, suddenly waking up, not in the, and it's not being pulled over their eyes, they'll come up with a new mechanism, and take that next step as they do, such as the alien
Mhm.
grey is only around because it's in our minds the most through its conscious perception through the internet now. Before that, it really wasn't, to be honest with you. And if we didn't have the internet, maybe the alien grey may never existed as long, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I'm going to send you via email. I'll send you that quote because in it, Kenneth Grant, this is why I found it so fascinating. He didn't just mention sigils, but he actually said that there is a cry in the heart from the public to change from praying, which we've talked about this many times, praying to divinity, to now they're extraterrestrials.
That's right.
And now they don't just want to be
Oh,
prayed
they're
to and
working
worshiped.
great number on
Now they
it.
also want to reincorporate the sigilizations, which the occultists have.
Anyway, buddy, I'll leave you with that.
All right, brother.
I'll send this video over and add it to your other ones. Yeah.
Okay.
No problems.
Thank
I'll
you,
talk to
buddy.
you soon, pal.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, buddy.